guys, welcome back to Spelling and Word Study. My name is Mrs. Rhoades and I'm here to get you started on Unit 14, the ABLE ending. Please take a second to gather your materials. You will need your green book, open to page 89. You will also need some colorful pens, markers, or crayons. Remember, whatever I mark on my board, you should be marking on your page. Please save room for a key as well. Now you'll notice that I already went ahead and used pink lines to mark our syllable breaks and green check marks to show our stressed syllables. If you would like to pause the video to mark up your syllables, please feel free to do that. All right, so let's get started. We have been talking about inflectional endings. Remember, those are endings that we add to a word to change its part of speech. So for the last few weeks, we have been taking verbs and we have been turning them into nouns by adding suffixes like tion and sion. Well, this week we have a new suffix. It is the able suffix, pronounced able, and it means able to. And what it does is it takes a verb and turns it into a noun. So for instance, something that is manageable is able to be managed. And something that is respectable is able to be respected. So let's start by reading our list. Please repeat after me. And as you do, try to find those verbs hiding within our adjectives. All right, so here we go. Charitable, comfortable, comparable, considerable, inevitable, irritable, knowledgeable, manageable, memorable, noticeable, perishable, probable, reasonable, remarkable, respectable, unavoidable, unbelievable, undependable, variables, and vulnerable. All of the words on our list this week are adjectives. They are all describing words with the exception of variables. Because I put an S on here, that changed it to a plural noun. So there is an adjective called variable, which means if something's variable, like the weather is variable, it changes a lot. So variables are things that change. We usually see that word when we're doing experiments in science class. Okay, so let's forget about this word for a while and notice though that the rest of our words, or most of our words, have a verb hiding in them that is then going to change to an adjective. Before we start marking those up though, I do want you to notice a few prefixes, and this should be review for you, but we have un in these words: unavoidable, unbelievable, and undependable. In those three words, just remember that it's going to mean not, because anytime we see un at the beginning of an adjective, it's going to mean not. So if you are unhappy, you are not happy. If you are unlucky, you are not lucky. Right here, the prefix in can also mean not. So if something is inevitable, it's not evitable. We'll talk about that in a second. Over here, orange box equals prefix. Okay, so now let's start hunting down some verbs. I want to start with the words comparable right here. Do you see the word compare hiding in there? notice we had to drop the E before we added able. So if things are comparable, we're able to compare them. They're similar. So comparable means similar. So suppose you go to the store and you always buy one brand, a particular brand of detergent to clean your clothes, but they're out of that brand. You're going to look for something comparable, something that you can compare to it, something that is similar. Okay, now I want to go all the way down here to unbelievable. Here's your verb right here, believe, right? Notice again, there's that E that we had to drop before we added our suffix. You already know that if your suffix starts with a vowel like A, you have to drop that E. So if something's unbelievable, it's not able to be believed. Okay, so wherever I just drew my blue lines and my blue box, I have a verb changing to an adjective, but I have to remember to drop that silent E first, because once again, if my suffix starts with a vowel, A, E, I, O, or U, I have to drop my silent E. All right, now there are a bunch of words on this list that are easy to work with because we just have the verb. So here's the word consider. If you can consider something, you can think about it, right? So if something's considerable, like, wow, he made a considerable amount of money this summer, that gives us something to think about. If something's considerable, it makes you think about it, right? Same thing with comfortable, right? If something is comfortable, it's able to give you comfort, okay? It's really important that you see that verb comfort hiding in there, because when we say comfortable, we kind of get a lazy tongue and we kind of swallow up the middle. We think it's comfortable and we forget that middle syllable. So just remember, it's comfort, able to give you comfort. We also have manageable. If something's manageable, it's able to be managed. You can handle it, right? So if you have 1 hour of homework each night, that's manageable. If you have 5 hours of homework each night, that's not manageable. You can't handle that. So manageable means can be handled, right? Not a big deal. All right, what verb is hiding in noticeable? Yeah, there's the word notice. Now I want you to notice something. We did not drop the silent E here. And actually, we did not drop the silent E in manageable. Why do you think that is? I just told you that we're supposed to drop the silent E before we add a vowel suffix. So why didn't we drop it here or here? Yeah, because that silent E has another job. It's keeping the G soft and the C soft. So we have to keep the E there so that our reader knows that this is manageable and not managable, and this is noticeable and not noticable. Okay, so a little caveat, a little change to the rule. You only drop the silent E before you add a vowel suffix if you don't have soft C or G. If you do have soft C or G, leave them in there. Okay, in the word perishable, we have the word perish hiding. If something perishes, it dies. So humans are perishable, but we use that word usually to describe food, right? Anything that has to stay in the refrigerator is perishable. Milk, cheese, meat, right? If you leave that stuff on the counter, it's going to die. It's going to spoil or go bad. So if something's perishable, it's able to perish or die. If it's non-perishable, like a box of cereal or a can of soup, it's not going to spoil, so you don't have to put it in the fridge. Okay, if something is reasonable, it makes sense, right? Oh, that's reasonable. That's not too expensive. That's not too cheap. It's within reason. If something's remarkable, well, if you remark on something, you comment, you're like, wow, look at that. That's amazing. So if something's remarkable, it makes you notice. It makes you say, wow. If something's respectable, you're able to respect it, right? What verb is hiding here? Yeah, avoid, right? If something is unavoidable, you're not able to avoid it, right? It's in your way, okay? So if it snows and you've got 2 feet of snow outside, well, you're gonna have to do something about it. You're gonna have to go out and shovel. That is unavoidable. It's not just gonna disappear right away. And then right here, undependable has the verb depend hiding in there. So if a person is undependable, you are not able to depend on them. Okay, so notice all these words: comfort, consider, manage, notice, perish, reason, remark, respect, avoid, and depend. All we had to do in these situations to change our verb to an adjective is just add able. Easy peasy, right? Nothing fancy there. Okay, now sometimes we have to change the base word a little bit. So if you look at the word irritable, what's the verb hiding in there? It's irritate, right? So if somebody is in an irritable mood, they're really irritable, it means they're grumpy. They're in a grumpy mood. So like everything is irritating them. Everything is bugging them. So for irritable, I'm going to write grumpy. But I want you to notice, to get from irritate to irritable, I basically just got rid of that ate ending and then added able. I have another verb right here. Inside the word variable, we have vary, right? Notice it's the vary with an A. If something varies, it means it changes a lot. So if your bedtime varies, then maybe sometimes you go to bed at 8 o'clock, sometimes you go to bed at 9 o'clock, sometimes you go to bed at 7:30. It varies, it changes. So if something is variable, it's going to change quite a bit. And variables are things that change. So right here, we still have our able ending, but we've changed the base word a little bit. We've kind of maneuvered with the base. So I'm still changing a verb to an adjective, but I had to change the base before adding able or able. Okay? All right, so let's see what's left here. We have the word charitable. Is there a verb hiding in there? You can't charity, but there is a noun there, because within the word charitable, we have charity, right? Charity means generosity. It means sharing what we have with others. If you are a charitable person, you are able to share what you have with others. Okay, so in this case, we're changing the noun, charity, to the adjective, charitable. Down here, there's no verb, but we have the noun, knowledge. So if you are knowledgeable, you're able to access and share your knowledge, right? You know a lot. If something is memorable, the noun here is memory, right? So if something's memorable, you're able to hold on to it in your memory because it's important to you. So all these words change a noun to an adjective, okay? We start with charity, we change it to charitable. We start with memory, we change it to memorable, and I feel like there was another one here. Oh, knowledge changes to knowledgeable. Okay, and then we have a couple other words that don't really fit any of these patterns. If something is inevitable, it will happen. There's no avoiding it, right? If something's evitable, it could happen. It could or it could not. But if it's inevitable, it's not a maybe, it's a definite. So if something's inevitable, it will happen, okay? Probable, if something's probable, it will likely happen. Okay, so it's probable that we'll all live to a ripe old age. Okay, we will probably get old. It's inevitable that we'll all die someday, right? Nobody lives forever. So death is inevitable. Old age is probable. And then the last word I want to talk about is vulnerable. And there's no verb hiding in there or simple noun. But if you're vulnerable, it means you can be hurt. So if you think about little babies, they're vulnerable, right? They don't know how to take care of themselves, so they need a grown-up to protect them. Think about any baby animals out in the wild. They have to stay near their mothers because they're vulnerable. There are predators out there that might try to eat them. So if somebody is vulnerable, it means they're exposed, they're possibly going to be hurt. So it's not just babies, it could be any person, right? We're all vulnerable at different times, right? We take risks, we take chances, and sometimes that makes us vulnerable because we could get hurt. All right, so lots of big words here. When you're trying to spell these, find that verb form. That'll help you. So like knowledgeable and comfortable and comparable. Remember, it's got compare in there, so you don't miss that part. But there's one more quick thing I want to talk about with you. When we get to page 92, we have a new Latin root, and our new root is pend. And the root pend means hang, okay? So if you wear a necklace, it might have a pendant hanging from it, like this heart is a pendant hanging from my necklace. A pendulum is something that swings back and forth, like the pendulum on a grandfather clock. So anytime you see pend, think hang or also weigh, okay? I just sneeze. Excuse me. So when you get to this page, you're going to see pendant, you're going to see pendulum, but you're also going to see words like depend. Well, if somebody depends on you, it's almost like they're hanging on you, right? You're carrying them, right? You are taking on their weight. You're like, yep, I will be responsible for you. So if you depend on someone, you're hanging on them in a sense, right? If somebody's dependable, then you can hang on them. You can give them your weight because they're going to be responsible. But if someone is undependable, well, don't hang your weight on them because they'll probably drop you, right? So anytime you see that root pend, just know that its original meaning had something to do with hanging or weighing upon. Okay, we don't have any other examples in our list, but like I said, you will see a bunch more when you get to this page. All right, that's all I have for you today. Good luck, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.